What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Point After with Mitch Kaiser. I'm your host, Mitch Kaiser. We got Mock Draft Monday for you today. This time, first edition of our NBA Mock Draft edition of Mock Draft Monday. We have about a month and a half till the NBA draft coming up, so we're going to get to know these prospects and talk about them. This is our second basketball episode here. The other day, previewing the conference semifinal games. So now we're going to do a quick NBA mock draft of just the first round, and we're going to get to learn these prospects better over the next month, so you guys can familiarize yourselves. I know this has been the football draft show. We talked heavily about the NFL draft, and that is now in the rearview mirror, and we are shifting gears to the NBA draft with all the prospects coming out of college basketball. From March Madness. This is a terrific draft. I repeat, this is a terrific draft. It's one of the best drafts in years. I can't say that enough. It's loaded with five-star freshman potential. I mean, these guys were incredible last year in college. This is one of the best drafts we've seen in years, with just a ton of crazy young potential coming out of this draft. And some older prospects as well. A couple Michigan guys who are upperclassmen, but really have kind of made their way into the first round conversation. So I can't wait to break it all down with you guys. As you can see on your screen, we have the PFSN NBA Mock Draft Simulator. So they actually have a pretty good mock draft simulator for the NBA. They got a good NFL one as well. So we're going to use their NBA Mock Draft Simulator as this one's pretty good. And going to do a first-round mock today with you guys. Eventually, when we get closer to the draft, we'll do two-round mocks, and we'll have some new basketball guests on, some basketball analysts. We'll go from there. But today's just going to be me, my first mock draft, the Mitch Mock 1.0 for NBA edition. As you guys know, I'm a huge draft nerd for both sports, basketball and football. And I want to give this NBA draft its proper coverage. I really wanted to cover this draft because it's sick. The prospects are awesome, man. I can't wait to see where they all go. Tons and tons of freshmen who were amazing in college this past year. I can't wait to see where they all land and how they are going to really make a difference at the next level. So let's get into it. Again, PFSN NBA Mock Draft Simulator 2026. Enter draft. We're going to be all teams. So, all right. A little over a week ago, we had the NBA draft lottery, and the Washington Wizards won the lottery for the I don't know if they've had the number one pick in their history, but it's the first time they've gotten some pretty good lottery luck in quite some time, because they hadn't been given the first pick in recent memory after being the worst team for the past couple of years. So won the first pick, got their guy, quote unquote, going to get their guy this year. So now, I will say there are rumors about the Wizards potentially trading out of this pick and potentially trading back with even the Utah Jazz at number 2. That is just speculation right now because the top overall prospect in this class from BYU is AJ DeBonsa, the small forward, power forward prospect from BYU, AJ DeBonsa. So, and he's been in Utah. He's lived in Utah for a while now. So there are rumors that he wants to go to the Utah Jazz. Again, the Wizards could just take him first and not really worry, and because you kind of have to play for that team unless he pulls a wild circumstance and asks for a trade. But I would doubt that. So right now we're just going to keep it with AJ DeBonsa first overall to the Washington Wizards. I could potentially see the Jazz trading for him. We're not going to start the draft with a trade. Trading out of the number one pick is pretty rare. It's only happened a couple times in the history of the NBA. But yeah, it doesn't happen a lot, so it might take a haul. But if I were Washington, here's what I would do. So AJ DeBonsa, I'm still breaking a lot of these prospects down. I'm going to have a big board out for you guys in a couple weeks. But DeBonsa is my 1A, and Caleb Wilson, the kid out of North Carolina, the forward out of North Carolina, is like my 1B. I may switch those two and have Caleb Wilson above DeBonsa at number 1 overall. I am that in love with Caleb Wilson as a prospect. He is that good to me. Like, he pops off the screen. I love his tape. Go watch his highlights at North Carolina. Guy's a freak. So we're going to get to him in a minute, but that is why if I were Washington, I would try to trade back, but stay in the top 4. I would see if you can trade with any 1, 2, 3, or 4 of those teams to stay in the top 4, because everyone knows this draft is like a top 4 and then the rest, and that is the likes of A.J. DeMonsa, Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, and Caleb Wilson, who we're going to get to in just a second. But I would say this draft is pretty known as those 4 are above the rest, and then at pick 5 is kind of where it, tier 2 of prospects. I would be happy with any 4 of those prospects. I would almost want to be pick 4 and then just let one fall to me, and then we'll just be happy with our guy. So if Washington can get some other value in a trade and trade back, that's what I would do, because I think that's really smart and could potentially get you a haul of assets and a really good player. You might get the top overall prospect, my top overall prospect at 4 in Caleb Wilson. So we'll see. All right, moving on, pick 2. So we're going to make this mock draft for accuracy purposes. I will do a what I would do mock in a couple weeks, but for the first one, we're going to start off and just kind of keep it simple, keep it straightforward. Darren Peterson right now is projected to go 2nd overall to the Utah Jazz. There are some people who believe he's going to end up going 1st to the Washington Wizards. Now, I'm still deciding what my final thoughts on this player, Darren Peterson, because on the court, he is an exceptional talent. He is dynamic as ever. He is elite offensively and can make any shot on the court, can drill any shot, whether it's deep threes, whether it's pull-up middies, whether it's getting to the paint. He can do it all. People have called him comparisons to Kobe Bryant as an offensive prospect. I'm not going to go that far, but the comps are there. So take that as you will. But there were some off-court issues this year at Kansas. Actually, not even off-court issues. It was actually just him. Well, technically they were off-court because he couldn't get on the court and refused to go on the court because of injuries. There were tons of injuries. This guy was not healthy all season in Kansas. Didn't have the season he wanted to, but he still averaged 20 a game, which is still pretty hard to do in college. So, and did on decent efficiency. Over 40% shooter from 3. So he's going to go 2nd right now in this draft. I am questioning the character and questioning his overall work ethic and his dedication to the on-court play. That's why I would have him lower in my mock draft and on my big board, because I think it's a risk. I think it's a huge risk taking this kid 1st or 2nd overall, because you are handing him the keys to your franchise by doing it. You're literally handing him the keys, and you got to be 100% sure that this is the guy, and that's the guy you want as the face of your franchise, the billboards of your city. Not that he's a bad guy. Like, it's nothing like off court, like his personality. Like, it's more just like the injuries, and there were a couple of times where he like subbed himself out of games due to cramping, and I know Bill Self wasn't like kind of complained about it on the Kansas coaching staff a couple of times. So that could become an issue. I don't want to hear that that's already an issue at age 19 is what I'm saying. So we'll see. He's an exceptional on-court talent. I mean, just a ridiculously skilled offensive basketball player. 6'6", can do it all at the guard position. You're going to be a lethal 2, play the shooting guard. So I get it. It's just, I would feel risky taking him, and I probably would not. I would take one of the other prospects because I think the other guys are that good. Like this next guy. Number 3 overall, the Memphis Grizzlies select power forward Cam Boozer out of Duke University. This guy matches the Memphis culture, the grit and grind, the tough city mentality, the hard work ethic. Cam Boozer is already like a veteran and like a pro. He played like a pro in college. I mean, 22 and 10 and 4 on really good efficiency, 58% shooting. He was National Player for a reason. I mean, I think we all wonder if Duke would have went on to win it all if they just got past that UConn game, because that was just that team was so good, led by him, and he was so consistent all season. Like, it was almost like they undersold him as a recruit, and then he even exceeded expectations, which it's kind of funny when you say that because I feel like we're used to got the expectations being too high for prospects and recruits like that. So, but he was exceptional. My question mark for him is what is going to be his go-to move in the NBA? Because right now in college, he gets to the paint and scores by simply bullying guys with his physicality and his strength and size. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that at the next level in the NBA because those guys are all bigger and stronger and faster and more athletic than all the guys who were just playing in college. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad player. I legitimately think he's going to be his dad, who is like a career 17-9. People will take offense to that, but Carlos Boozer was a 17-9 career guy on like 50% shooting, had a great career. That is no slouch at all if Cam Boozer turns into literally what his dad did. So, and I think he can be even better. So yeah. I am questioning the ceiling. I don't know if there's like all NBA ceiling with him like there is with Debansa, Peterson, and this next guy who we'll talk about, Caleb Wilson from North Carolina, power forward, going 4th overall to the Chicago Bulls. I think the Bulls should be licking their chops sitting at 4 with this guy falling to him. This might be my top overall prospect. I'm going to get into some more tape on him, but I love what I see. I see some Giannis type potential in there. I see, a little bit of Scotty Barnes. I think he can be bigger and taller, he's bigger and taller than that. So I think his ceiling could be higher than Scotty Barnes. But I think those types of players who his length and size at 6'10" and his ability to he already has a decent turnaround mid-range jump shot. He's working on a 3. I think his 3-pointer will be a factor in the NBA. It was like 29% at Duke, but on very low attempts. I think it was kind of coming around. The athleticism pops. The defense is going to only get better with his length and versatility on the wing. I literally think this guy can guard 2 3s and 4s. I think he's going to play the 3 or the 4. And with Chicago, Modest Buzelis, who's also kind of a hybrid 3 or 4, this is kind of a great pairing for them. And I would be pretty happy with that, especially not having to trade up or and you possibly get the best prospect of them all at 4. So there are people who believe Caleb Wilson is going to be the best of all these guys and has the highest ceiling. That is what I think. I think his ceiling is like Giannis type, where he is just a monster getting downhill to the paint and just dunking on dudes. And the only way to stop him is if you foul him. That's what it is. He was a good free throw shooter, so that might be the only way to stop him. Also, Caleb Wilson personality and like what you hear about him is like this guy lights up a room, always has a smile on his face, great personality, great in interviews, funny guy. That stuff matters. Again, you guys know me on my NFL takes, like the personality, the leadership stuff. That stuff 100% matters. It absolutely matters in basketball too. You got to have a culture guy. You got to have a culture setter. You got to be a professional, a leader of men, and Caleb Wilson is that. I think he will be like a joy to be around in the media, and I think players will gravitate towards him, and that's why he might end up being my top prospect. We'll see. All right, moving on. Pick 5. I know I'm kind of spending a lot of time on those guys. We'll probably talk a little less on these. Those are the top 4, so a little less on these guys. So I am hearing that the Clippers are kind of in love with Keaton Wagler from Illinois, a tall combo guard to pair next to Darius Garland. I understand that with Wagler at 6'6", can kind of do it all. I think he was averaged like 19, 5, and 5 at Illinois. Really good shooting. My worry with him is he was a low-star recruit and just kind of burst on the scene as a true freshman, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, tremendous job. Phenomenal work. Keep going, kid. But like, I don't know if that scares a team or doesn't scare a team. It doesn't sound like it's scaring the Clippers at all, because everything I'm seeing on Twitter is that's who the pick is going to be. That's kind of fills the final spot in that starting lineup, I guess. So yeah, I would probably have him a little lower in the lottery, but I think for accuracy purposes, we're going Keaton Wagler, shooting guard out of Illinois, to Los Angeles Clippers. All right, pick 6. The Kings are going to be mad about this one because the Nets have to take Darius Acuff, and I think they will, and they should if he's here. This kid going to Brooklyn is perfect. They still need the point guard of the future. I like Nolan Traore, but I think his best role is probably a backup point guard. But Darius Acuff is a bright lights type of player. This guy's going to be a superstar. This guy's like Kyrie on offense. That is what my point guard comp for him would be, is with his ball handling, shooting ability, and just absolute offensive talent, his ability to score from anywhere. Which I mentioned the Kings because I think that's who the Kings are dying to get and have fall to them, and maybe they'll trade up. We'll see. But if Acuff's there at 6, I cannot see Brooklyn passing on him, and they have to take him. He's that good. I would take him at pick 5 probably. Although Darius Garland, so the two Dariuses, that might not work, might overlap. But either way, Acuff is a steal at pick 6 because he might be way higher on my big board. I promise you guys he will be in my top 5. There are some people who believe he could be the best of them all too, because we saw the games he was putting up in the SEC tournament and in the March Madness tournament. I mean, he was lighting it up for like 30-point games and just putting the team on his back, it felt like. So he's a gamer. That stuff impresses me, and that stuff matters to me. So I do think Acuff could be one of the best players from this class when it's all said and done. All right, pick 7. This is where it gets interesting because the Kings desperately need a point guard for sure. I mean, they've been very open about that in Twitter and whatever and wherever. Now, they could take Kingston Flemings is 5th on here, and I've heard he's going to go pretty high. However, I would take Michael Brown here because I think he can be more of like a true point guard and like a true one, and like carry more of an offensive load. And I thought he was asked to carry more of an offensive load at Louisville compared to Kingston Flemings at Houston. I don't think Flemings is ready to be a lead guard, and I think he might struggle in Sacramento. I think Mikel Brown is a lead guard. I think Flemings is like an off-ball guard, like 2 guard, which we'll get to him in a second. More of like Andrew Nembhard, Jalen Suggs type guy. Derek White, that's a good comp for Kingston Flemings right there. So I don't know if he's like a true point guard and just bringing the ball up every time like Michael Brown is. Michael Brown like reminds me a little bit of Cade Cunningham. I'm not going to lie. So you guys know Cade's like my favorite player in the NBA. I'm not comping it. I'm not like saying he's going to be Cade or as good as Cade as a prospect. Obviously, Cade was a 1-1 for a reason and is, one of the best guard prospects of the last decade. But Michael Brown averaged 18, 4, and 5 on decent shooting. The efficiency tailed off a little bit at the end due to some injuries, but I'm very intrigued by Brown because his size and strength combination at 6'5" point guard, good looking jump shot. The efficiency will go up. It's a really decent looking jump shot that I think is only going to get better. So that's why I feel good. He kind of shoots a lot like Cade does and plays like Cade does as the tall point guard, the tall facilitating point guard. So that is why I give him a little bit. He kind of has a similar mid-range game to Cade as well. So again, I'm not saying he's going to be an all-NBA point guard, all-NBA first-team point guard like Cade just did, but Michael Brown intrigues me, and I think that's the guy I would take for the Kings. 8, this is where I would go Kingston Flemings because I think they kind of need that combo guard. and good defender guard, because I believe they're gonna re-sign CJ McCollum and bring him back. He's not a good defender. We know that. They have Dyson Daniels, who's their elite defender. They have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who is a really good 3-and-D, just took a huge step as most improved player this year. So I expect him to start again for the Hawks. You could see the Hawks look at a big man here, like a center. However, I think I would be reaching for one in this draft. I think Fleming's his best player available, and I think it fills a need off the bench. I think he instantly becomes their backup point guard. And that is a more fitting role for Flemings as a rookie, where I think he can develop into a long-term starter for them. Shot the three ball well, percentage-wise on 38%, not really volume-wise, only 3 attempts. So the three ball is questionable to me, but he's a tough guard, tough defender. I always say I love drafting Houston guards. Marcus Sasser is one of my favorite players on the Pistons out of Houston. Any Kelvin Sampson coach player is going to be tough as nails and going to do their assignment, knows what it takes, gives it their all, fights their ass off. I mean, that's how it goes. Look at Jamal Shedd, Quentin Grimes, guys like that, just tough, gritty guys. So I think that's what you're getting with Flemings. And he was a true freshman, so you could feel even more confident, which is they rarely have a lot of top prospects, I would say, but that's even more of a telltale sign to, maybe take this guy. All right, number 9. So this is going to be one of my favorite picks in the draft, actually. Braden Burries. I'm taking Braden Burries to Dallas Mavericks, shooting guard out of Arizona. This guy was a dog. This guy was an absolute dog, just a winner, played a winning role for the team. He's a guy who I think would have put up better stats on a team that didn't get to the Final Four, but he averaged 16, 4, and 2, shot the three ball great, just under 40%. I believe he was 49% from the field. 6'5", kind of a combo guard, can bring the ball up the floor. I believe he's a 2, though. I think you pair this guy next to Cooper Flagg as the 2 and the 3. I think that's a strong tandem duo going forward in Arizona. I think that's a competitive culture, and I think that's a pairing of two psycho-competitive dudes who want to win and are going to work their butts off to do whatever it takes to win. So that's why I love that pick, because Kyrie's coming back next year, so he'll start the 1. What's his name? Max Christie? I believe, yeah, Max Christie took a big step. I don't want to throw him out of the starting lineup because he did start about 60 games for the Mavericks and was really efficient as a three-point shooter and, good role player, really good role player. But I could see him kind of, his best role on a good team being off the bench. So however they work that out, or Burries comes off the bench to start, he's young too, so they can figure it out. But that's a pick I really love right there, and that's tremendous value from Burries at 9. All right, 10. With the Giannis situation looming and that up in the air, we don't know if he's even going to be on the team. I am taking the player who is most – now, hear me out. I'm taking the player who's left, who's most like Giannis out of these guys. That is 6'9", 6'10", small forward Nate Ament out of Tennessee. Now, the talent is there. This could ultimately be a reach, and I kind of wanted to see this kid come back to school because I thought he could have benefited from another year at Tennessee. He shot 39% from the floor at 6'10". That's not great. 30% from deep. Long way to go as a shooter and scorer, playmaker, but the talent is there. Prospect is salivating. You can see the tools. It's kind of like a quarterback or like a NFL prospect or pass rusher with all the tools, but the production was just not there. That's what we're getting here with Nate Ament. But I think the Bucks could honestly be the perfect team to take him because you might be entering a rebuild, and you're going to be really bad next year probably if you trade Giannis. So now's the time to give this guy some runway because I believe he was the 4th overall recruit, and there are some people who believe he has still one of the higher ceilings in this draft class, even with a subpar freshman year compared to the others. If you watch him play, he had some games where he lit it up and was just like, kind of looked like a little like Ben Simmons-y, like running the point, running the floor, passing, same height, same size, good defender like Simmons was. But the jump shot, again, that like I'm talking Ben Simmons at LSU, not Philadelphia Ben Simmons. So picture that in college. Picture Ben Simmons in college, who I thought was an incredible prospect. So, all right, moving on. Pick 11. So, pick 11 is going to be so this one works for Golden State because they are not trying to get younger. They're honestly just trying to win now and use up what's left of Steph Curry, and all the, Kristaps, Al Horford, all the old guys. So we are taking Axel Lendenborg, power forward out of Michigan. He is almost 24 years old. He was in the same draft or same recruiting class as Cade Cunningham. Take that as you will. So there's a reason he was dominating guys 5 years younger than him at Michigan this year. There's a reason Michigan won a championship this year. They got a couple other guys who are going to be in this first round. So I like this pick for Golden State because he's a plug-and-play guy. He can help right away, and he can help them take advantage of Steph Curry's last few years and try to make one last run at the title. So, all right. Sam Presti's going to do something smart here at pick 12. We know that for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm going to take the foreign guy, Kareem Lopez. I have not watched a ton of this guy yet. That's on me. I will get to that for you guys. But I'm just going to assume he's going to be like really good and that Sam Presti's going to take him. I've seen him mocked there a couple times. So if the Thunder are taking him, he's probably going to be amazing next year and put up like 19 and 5 on 40% from three. So, Kareem Lopez, first international prospect going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's wild that they have 2 picks within the first 17. It's almost unfair. But at least they didn't jump up in the lottery like some people thought they were going to. So, all right, pick 13. Now, I'm taking okay. The Miami Heat are potentially entering a new era, and I don't want to say like a rebuild era. I just want to say like a reshifting era or like a retooling. It sounds like they're going to trade Tyler Hero. Like it sounds like they're kind of unhappy with each other and going to move on from him. Norm Powell is an unrestricted free agent. I don't expect him to be back in Miami. So there's 2 guards gone right there. Then you have Davion Mitchell, who's a solid starting point guard, but probably not like a good starting point guard on a good team. So like he can ultimately come off the bench if you need him to, or he can just start. He's a good defender, guards the other team's best player. They have Jaku Konis from their rookie they drafted last year out of Illinois. I thought he showed some promise as a rookie. I think he's going to take a next step. Could move up to the starting lineup. Pelle Larsson from Arizona. He's probably best as like a 6 man off the bench, but he can start if they need to. The Terry Rozier situation is finally over with. They no longer have him or his contract on the roster, so that point guard is gone. So what I'm getting at is the Heat need a point guard. They need a true long-term point guard for the long haul. That is LeBaron Philon from Alabama. This guy's an absolute dog, man. This kid rocks. If you watch him play, like, so talented offensively, so efficient, shot 50% from the floor, 40% from deep, averaged 21 points a game. He carried Alabama. This dude would just pull up from deep and just drop threes all day for Alabama. Like, the improvement he made from year 1 to year 2, I got to double check his official age, but he is not much younger than a lot of these guys up here. He's simply just listed as a sophomore in college, so that's why he's going to fall in the draft. That is tremendous value for the Heat at pick 13, and now they got another Heat culture guy who's just going to be a monster for like 10 years. So I could see Philon going higher even. I'm going to have him higher on my big board because I think he's a beast of a point guard. So efficient, such a good scorer. Maybe not the playmaker you'd like, but certainly capable. Kind of reminds me of Jalen Brunson. I was trying to think of the comp a little bit like Jalen Brunson as an offensive weapon. So, yeah, that's probably the best comp I can think of right now. All right, pick 14. So, Charlotte Hornets need a big man bad. They need a starting center very bad. I know he shows power forward here. I'm listing Hans Steinbach out of Washington as a center. I like this big man a lot. This is a promising big man who you can tell is going to be a solid pro and very high IQ player in the league for a long time. The way he plays, I think he averaged like 19 and 11, can step out and shoot a three if need be, can block shots, 6'11", big, strong body, kind of built like Jakob Poeltl is, but way higher, ceiling, way higher offensive prospect than that. But I think this could be the center the Hornets are looking for. I don't know if he starts over Moussa Diabate right away, but they definitely need to get bigger and more physical down low. Steinbach's good, man. He's a, tall, big man who can step out and shoot a little bit, highly skilled offensive player. I think he's a promising prospect. Put it that way. All right, pick 15 is the Bulls now. So they get 2 top 15 picks, which isn't bad. They have a hole at the center position. I know Steinbach, they would probably want him there. We're going to take the next guy on my list, which is Chris Sinak Jr. out of Houston. Again, I love drafting players out of Houston. They're going to work their butts off. They're well coached, and they're highly high IQ players. So fills a good need. Sinak averaged 9 and 7 at Houston. Very raw prospect. Also can shoot a three. I believe he shot 33% on like 2 attempts from 3, so not bad. 6'11", can block shots at the rim. That's a good pick for the Bulls at center. That could be the center of the future they've been looking for. All right, pick 16 for the Memphis Grizzlies. So we don't know. All signs say they're going to trade Ja. Like, they keep saying they're going to trade Ja before the draft, and I don't know, or before the season. And I don't know what's ultimately going to happen with Ja Morant, if he's going to be their point guard next year, but I'm not going to count on that. So we're going to draft them a point guard here. That is Christian Anderson, who is one of my top players out of Texas Tech. This guy is also a sophomore, but don't worry about that. He can absolutely light it up. Believe he averaged like 19 and 6 at Texas Tech on 42% from three-point shooting. Like, literally just lethal three-point shooting on 7 attempts. He is so quick, so athletic, can get to the rim, can jump out the gym. Watch him play. He has some of the most fun highlights. He had to carry Texas Tech after JT Toppin got injured. So I forget how many points he officially ended up averaging, but it was very high. It was close to 20. And on like 7 assists, which were like top 5 in the nation in the NCAA. So excellent playmaker, excellent speed, excellent vision, excellent shooter, and big time athlete. I like Christian Anderson a lot. I think that is a high value pick for the Grizzlies, who have some point guard questions. Could he be the point guard of the future? We'll see. All right, next pick for the Thunder. So I've actually seen this guy mocked to them a couple times. I'm not in love with this player. I don't think he's going to be a great center in the league, but I've seen it on Twitter, them mocked to this guy at pick 17, which that is center out of Michigan, Ede Mara, 7'2", big time shot blocker. Maybe the tallest guy in this draft class, can block anything down low. Just not really a highly skilled offensive player, but the Thunder need to get bigger. They need to get more centers in there. I know Isaiah Hartenstein as a team option, I believe. He's a very valuable player to their success. So I don't know if they're just going to hang him out to dry in a trade, but I could see them moving Isaiah Hartenstein. And what I've heard is they want to add a center in this draft. So that's who we're giving. All right, pick 18. We're throwing another dart at the board here with Jaden Quaintance. This guy is kind of a wild card prospect who at one point was like a top 5 prospect, even coming out of high school, and then supposed to be coming out into the draft this past year, and couldn't really get healthy. I believe he played only 4 games at Kentucky and just never got healthy, never played. So there's meat on the bone. We don't really know. So I think this is the Hornets throwing another dart at the center position, at the post position, and seeing what lands. So Jaden Quaintance, 18th overall. All right, number 19. So the Raptors just had a respectable season, a respectable playoff series, even though it ended in 7 games to the Cavs. But I think they know what their future is, and Scotty Barnes is a stud. I mean, that guy's an all-star. He's going to make All-NBA probably. So top 15 player in the league. Colin Murray-Boyles is going to be a stud. That guy just had a dominant playoffs as a rookie. I mean, the confidence, the toughness he showed to not be scared of the bright lights at all. I mean, he's going to take a huge step next year at the 4 position. So I do think they will start Murray-Boyles. I wonder what that means for Brandon Ingram if they ultimately look to trade him, because he was really bad in the playoffs, which he's been bad in each playoffs. However, I don't know if anyone's jumping at his contract. He's on the books for like a couple years for like $40 million. So we'll see. I wouldn't be racing for that contract. They're definitely not getting rid of Jakob Poeltl or Emmanuel Quickley. They've tried to get rid of those contracts, but they would have to attach a ton of picks to it. So that it's not dead money, but they're going to have to try to get a ton, just more out of Jakob Poeltl, who was almost unplayable in the playoffs. And Quickley didn't play at all. I wonder how that series would have went had he played. But Quickley hurts their defense. He helps their offense, but hurts their defense. So they're an interesting team. What I'm getting at is I'm going to add more size because I like RJ Barrett, what I saw out of him in the playoffs. I want to keep him around. If I'm Toronto, I think he's taken a step. I think he has improved enough as a shooter, and I think he's improved enough as an offensive playmaker and enough as a defender to hold his own out there. So I thought he gave it his all in the playoffs and, probably exceeded what a lot of people's expectations were. So we're going to look for – this guy's not really a center. He's listed as a center here, but it's kind of just another tall, athletic wing/big man that the Raptors love to add. It feels like they have like 7 of these guys on their roster, so we're going to give them another one. That is Merez Johnson from Michigan. This guy was a freshman at Michigan, just a dominant defender, elite defender. So tall, athletic wing/post player to add for the Raptors. All right, pick 20. I'm sure the Spurs are going to get like another amazing player here. I know who I'm giving them. This player is a small – they need a wing. So their guards, they are set for the future. And then Wemby, you are set for the future with the center position. They need a wing. I don't think they will bring back Harrison Barnes. I don't see that. Julian Champagnie, I believe, will get extended there and probably be – maybe they're starting 4. I don't know if he's the long-term starting 4, but I think they definitely need to add a 4 because Carter Bryant is there. Carter Bryant could probably take that leap in the starting role next year. We're going to add Allen Graves, power forward out of Santa Clara. This guy hit the big shot against Kentucky in March Madness. 6'7", strong, big-bodied guy. I believe he might be 6'8", actually. Either way. Strong, tough guy, can shoot threes too, can light it up from deep at like 40%. So hit that big shot against Kentucky. So this is a total Spurs pick of just adding size at the wing position that they desperately need, which is kind of the only hole on their roster, especially with Harrison Barnes entering free agency. All right, my favorite team, the Detroit Pistons. Pick 21. So I'm getting Cade some more shooting because we had no shooting around him this season other than Duncan Robinson. So I'm adding another guard. I think this guy has potential to be a 2 guard of the future. He's probably kind of a hybrid bench guy, but a very talented shooter, very talented offensive scorer, little inconsistent, had a couple mistakes that kind of popped, but that is the talent. The offensive talent is there and the potential is there. That is Isaiah Evans, shooting guard / small forward out of Duke University. This guy's 6'7". He's bigger than you realize. He's taller than you realize. He's a little slender, a little slim, but I definitely think he can put on some weight, bulk up a little bit, and potentially play that 2 or 3 off the bench for the Pistons and come off the bench and just be a microwave scorer. That would be great because they desperately need more shooting. So Isaiah Evans, pick 21. All right, the Philadelphia 76ers at pick 22, they desperately need guard play. So we saw it in the playoffs. They had like one guard off the bench who was playable, and that was Quentin Grimes. So they desperately need some backcourt depth. They traded away Jared McCain. They could have used that guy who's lighting up on the Thunder right now. But either way, we're going to give them Cameron Carr. This guy's coming off a phenomenal combine. So the NBA combine was, I believe, last week in Chicago. I know. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I need to get an NBA credential now. I gotta find someone who can give me an NBA credential because I can only get NFL credentials right now. I can only get college football credentials because of my PFF job. And, you know, my obviously I was at the NFL combine for that draft, but if you guys know anybody who can get me some NBA credentials to get into the combine, that would be great. Like, I see these guys. I see these guys up close. Either way, this guy had a dominant combine, I heard, and rose up a lot of people's boards. I saw him play Cincinnati this year. I watched him on Baylor. I believe he averaged like 20 a game and like was a lethal shooter, like 37% from 3, pretty good from the floor, can create a little bit. So I think that's kind of everything that Philadelphia needs right there at pick 22. All right, Atlanta Hawks pick 23. So we're going to add size for them because I think they need more size on the team. I had Asa Newell from Georgia as a big high prospect last year, who the Hawks have. I believe he's their third string center. Didn't really play at all this season. I'm curious to see if he improves at all, if he takes a step, if he is a player at all for them. But I think Onyeka Okongwu is a good center, probably not a starting center on a really good playoff team. I think Okongwu fit the 6-man role a couple of years ago and was really good. And he can space the floor. Okongwu can shoot threes. He is lethal from deep now. So he's improved his offensive game a lot. I don't know if Okongwu can be a starting center and like not be a liability on defense is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know if this guy will be their starting center, but we're going to draft Henry Visar from the center out of North Carolina. This guy was like 7 foot, can space the floor a little bit, shoot a three a little bit, average like 17 and 11 there. So good center. He is staying in the draft, just announced. So I think that could help the Hawks' front court issues. All right, pick 24, New York Knicks. So this player's still on the board. I heard he did not have the best combine, but right now he's staying in the draft. He could still come back, but the Knicks kind of need more, I know they have Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, but the bench is a little thin with wings, so we're going to give him Koa Pete, some size, some strength on the wing. 6'8", just a forward, can play the 3 or the 4. Good defender. Can shoot a little bit, shot 35% from 3, 50% from the floor. Kind of just did it all at Arizona. He was a high recruit, kind of just did it all for a really good team. So I heard he didn't have the best combine and his jump shot is looking questionable right now. So he might fall in the draft or he might go back to school, but we're going to get him in here at 24. All right, Lakers, pick 25. So they definitely need big men, but they also just need to figure out the LeBron situation. So they're kind of tough to project right now because I definitely think DeAndre Ayton is going to opt into his $8 million player option, which is, unfortunate for the Lakers, but they're going to have to pay him that $8 million. I don't know if JJ is going to play him. JJ Redick's going to play Ayton, but he's going to be on the roster. I think they'll bring back Jackson Hayes. I think they like Hayes off the bench as a backup center for cheap. I'm looking at Joshua Jefferson here from Iowa State. I know he's more of a 4 and probably will play a 4 at the in the NBA. 6'9", strong guy, can step out and shoot the 3 a little bit. Shot like 34% from deep. He's a good playmaker. Excellent playmaker for his size. Averaged 4.8 assists on Iowa State, who had really good point guard in Tamin Lipsey. So he led one of the best teams in college basketball the past 2 seasons and was a very talented offensive player for them. 6'9", big, strong forward. I think that helps kind of just shore up the front court, even if LeBron is gone or if they trade Rui Hachimura or if Ayton doesn't come back or whatever. Because I think they are committed to Luka and Reeves as the guards of the future. So got to get the big mans established. All right, number 26, Denver Nuggets, another team who might be entering, I don't want to say a rebuild, but a retooling, because the GM came out and said everything is on the table outside of Nikola Jokic. So they don't really have a backup point guard on the roster, though, which I've always kind of thought is odd. You know, they just run Jamal Murray and then Bruce Brown do a little bit, but then it's kind of just Jokic doing playmaking anyway. So I'm going to add Bennett Sturts, who's one of my favorite players in this draft. Junkyard dog, tough as nails, gritty player right here out of Iowa. This guy is so much fun to watch. He kind of takes up, he's kind of like Johnny Manziel. He plays like that, but for basketball, if that makes sense. Like, he shoots, ridiculous, fadeaway threes and, drills. Some of the shots he took in March Madness, I was like, oh, my God, why are you taking – oh, my God, he made it. Just drills, a step-back fadeaway three. Some, J.R. Smith type shots with the shot clock running down. So that's the type of offensive player he is. There are some bad games and some inconsistencies where he shot, 30% from the floor or just could not hit 0 of 8 from deep. But when he's on, when he's dialed, he is lethal, man. And he's an absolute dog, absolute winner. Averaged 19 a game at Iowa, carried their offense, carried their whole team, almost carried them to a Final Four. I was bummed they didn't make a Final Four. I wanted to see them win that Illinois game, but Bennett was cooking early before missing his last couple threes. But this guy's fun to watch, man. I think he's going to sneak in the first round, so we'll see where he goes. I think that'd be a good pick for Denver, though, to get a backup point guard. All right, Celtics, pick 27. So they have some big man questions, some front court questions as well. I'm going to add a player. This guy's lower on this list. I'm adding Zubi Ejiofor. I know he says small forward. This guy's either going to play power forward or, poor man's center in the NBA because he's just strong as an ox and just is 6'9", 245, something like that. Crazy athlete. Awesome player at St. John's. I know that's New York City, and Boston might, not like that pick, but I think it fits. I think it fills a need that they have on the bench. I still think they're looking for a starting center long term. Be curious to see if anything happens with Jaylen Brown this offseason. So, but I like Zubi Ejiofor to the Celtics because it feels like a total Brad Stevens player, and it feels like a Brad Stevens pick. All right. 28. So the Minnesota Timberwolves, they've got to get more backcourt depth, man. They've got to get a true point guard for the long haul, like a long-term point guard. They might bring back Ayo Dosunmu. They might bring back Ayo. I could see that. I think him and Ant fit well. I'm going to get this guy, Ibuka Okari from Stanford, the point guard out of Stanford. This guy put up crazy stats in the for Stanford this past year. Crazy stats. Like 20, 4, and 3, on decent efficiency too. So the numbers are there. I don't know if it was just, guy putting up stats on a bad team or what, because he kind of flew under the radar all season, but there's a reason he's staying in the draft, and there's a reason he's probably going to go in the first round. So I'm curious. He's a little small, a little undersized, but very talented offensive player. I think that could help the Timberwolves' backcourt depth because Dante DiVincenzo is going to miss all next season with a torn Achilles. So, all right, pick 29, Cleveland Cavaliers. So Cleveland Cavs here. I'm giving them a wing shooter because it feels like they just have a ton of wing shooters and they're just all offensive players. I'm giving them Alex Caravan, just an absolute winner out of UConn. Just power forward, small forward, 6'8", lethal, dynamic shooter. Guy shot 40% like his whole career at UConn. It felt like played in 3 national championship games. Can you believe that? 3 national championship games, won 2 of them, and almost won the 3rd against Michigan this past year. So, yeah, Caravan feels like a Cav who will just annoy me for the next decade. So, all right. Milan Momcilovic is my final pick here because I really want to get this guy in the first round. This guy's going to be like a Bojan Bogdanovic here. He is going to the Dallas Mavericks. I think that helps a wing shooter right there. Milan Momcilovic. This guy out of Iowa State shot like 48% from 3. Can you, like, that's insane. 48% from 3 on like 7 attempts. That is ridiculous. Like, he hit like, he was literally over 50% from deep, like midway through the Big 12 regular season. I was like, this is crazy. Like, is this guy going to set some sort of record? But the shooting talent he has is just incredible. Like, and he's 6'8", foreign guy. That is a Bojan Bogdanovic if I've ever seen one. That's a 15-year veteran. It's a 15-year pro. That guy's going to average like 13-4-1 on a really good team someday and be like a 43% three-point shooter. I'm telling you, he's got the size and he's got the ability. He's got the talent. So that's why I want to get him in the first round here. That concludes our first edition of NBA Mock Draft Monday. There we go. Appreciate you guys can see the results here. Thanks for tuning in. That's all I got for you guys today. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to The Point After with Mitch Kaiser. We are going to talk we're going to talk midway through the conference finals this next week, throughout this week on the next podcast. We're also going to dive into the Brendan Sorsby situation, get back into some football talk with you guys later. We're going to have the Cincinnati Bearcats, Chatterbox Bearcats guy on for that. So appreciate you guys watching. Like, comment, and subscribe to The Point After with Mitch Kaiser, and hope you have a great rest of your day.